Hi everyone, in today's video I'm doing another shell challenge. Sorry if you're bored with these, but they're actually really fun to do because I enjoy not having to worry about the actual shape of the home, and I just have to make it look nice pretty much. But this shell challenge is from Larissa, or I don't even know, honestly I don't even know if I'm gonna say it right, but she is Larisande on Instagram, and but I will put her name on the screen so you can see, and I'll also put it in the description so that if you want to check her out, you know who to look for on Instagram. But she's so talented. I love her builds. She has such a unique way of doing her clutter and things like that, and I just love it. So I wanted to participate in her shell challenge because she's just been a really nice girl in general from the interactions that I've had with her, and I just wanted to show support by participating in her first shell challenge. But aside from that, I do want to go into my whole ghost stories that I promised I would do for this month, since it is October and Halloween is coming up. A little bit of a disclaimer: if you do not believe in ghosts and spirits and paranormal and things like that, that's perfectly fine. I'm not telling anyone what they should believe or shouldn't believe or whatever, but I'm going to explain the experiences that I have had personally. So this is just going to be one out of, I guess, many stories or like experiences that I've had. What I'm going to do is talk about the experiences I had in the condo that my husband and I lived in when we were married, because that one was probably one of the most intense, I guess, paranormal activity type places that we've lived so far. And I mean, I'll kind of get into that like as the stories go, like as I do my videos. But in general though, I have had a lot of experiences in my life because I've always been really interested in the paranormal and being open to things like that. And my father-in-law believes that the reason I do have so many experiences is because I've always been interested in it, and I just kind of open up my energy to spirits and things like that. Like I don't know, I'm just so intrigued by it. I'm so fascinated that I've always watched like ghost type of shows like Ghost Hunters, Paranormal State, My Ghost Story, Paranormal Witness, Ghost Adventures. I freaking love all of them. Like Ghost Adventures is my all-time favorite. But anyways, getting into the stories. So this place that we lived in, we lived here from, we lived in the condo from, I want to say 2008 to 2010, because we moved in when I was still pregnant with my daughter and my first son was 2 years old. And, you know, when we first moved in, we didn't have any issues or whatever. And it was a condo, you know, we're surrounded by people. I mean, granted, this building was like out kind of in the middle of nowhere here, where we live in Guam. So it was like away from like the busier parts of the island, I guess you could say. We didn't really feel anything necessarily when we first moved in, but over time, things just kind of got more intense. So, and I remember my first experience so vividly, like, okay, so I'm gonna explain this as best as I can. I'm sorry if I mumble at any time or if there's a lot of ums and buts and yeahs and ands, all that, whatever, but yeah, that's just how I talk. So please bear with me. But the first time that I was creeped out in that condo was I was getting ready to go someplace with my husband. I was home by myself because I think our kids were, it was after I had my daughter, so our kids were with my in-laws, I believe, and I was getting ready and I was waiting for my husband to come home to pick me up. So I'm standing in the bathroom doing my makeup and my hair and everything, and our condo was carpeted everywhere except for the kitchen and the bathrooms. So you could kind of hear like when somebody's walking around, right? Like just like the feet. I don't know how to explain it. Like you can just kind of hear the rubbing, right? And I'm standing in the bathroom doing my hair and makeup, and I could hear somebody walking around. And I thought it was my husband. I thought he came home. And so, you know how you can like feel like the presence of, you know, when somebody's near you, like you can just feel that they're coming towards you or something like that. So I hear the footsteps and everything, and I kind of felt like there was something coming up towards me, and I thought my husband like walked up to the doorway of the bathroom and like to, you know, talk to me or see me or whatever. And I started to talk to him, and then I turned to the side to look at him, and nobody was there. And I was like, okay. So of course I stopped talking because I was like, where the heck did he go? And I went and I started to walk around the whole condo looking for him. I was like, yeah, I mean, it wasn't like a really big place or anything like that, but you know, I was like kind of looking around. I'm like, babe, where are you? You know, and he didn't answer me, and I was like, what the heck? And so I tried calling him on his cell phone, and when he answered, I said, where did you go? And he was like, what? I said, weren't you just here? I heard you walking around, and I was talking to you. And he was like, no, I didn't even get home yet. And so I was just like, oh my God. And so I told him what happened, and he turns out he had actually kind of had a similar experience like a couple nights before, but he didn't bother telling me, I think because he just didn't want me to like overthink it or whatever. But that was just the first time that I experienced something, and things got more intense fairly quickly. So okay, so as I mentioned, my older son was 2 years old at the time, right? And you know, of course, like he started talking and things like that, like in sentences sometimes, whatever. And there was in our bedroom, because our son would sleep with us, with me and my husband on our bed. And every morning, my husband would leave early for work, and it would just be me and my son home all day, right? And my son would wake up, and you know, we'd be laying there in bed and everything, and he would start like shaking and like oh, what's the word, like not like cold or anything, but scared. He would just start shaking, and he would hide under the blanket. And I, you know, and I'm like, Raven, what's wrong, baby, what's wrong? And he would say, and the TV is off, okay? And he would look at or he wouldn't want to look at the TV, but he would hide his head, and he would say, the man in the TV keeps looking at me. Oh my gosh, I have goosebumps right now just talking about it. And let me tell you, I have never been so scared in my life to look at a blank TV. Like, I was like, what? What did you say? And you know, and so I'm trying to comfort him, but at the same time, I'm scared shitless, right? And I'm like, oh, it's okay, baby. What, you know, there's nothing there. And like, I'm trying to like look, but not really look. And, but he's like shivering, and he's like, no, mommy, the man keeps looking at me. He keeps looking at me. And the way our room was, is the TV was like in the corner of the room. And it just so happens that corner of the room is also where he would point sometimes and say that he could see something up in the corner, like at the ceiling. He would point up there. And even my daughter, you know, we lived there from when my daughter was born till she was 2 years old, and she would do the same thing. She would look up in that corner of the room, and she would like point at it and say that she could see something there, or there was a man there. Oh, the man's standing there. And you know, and this is over a period of 2 years, but like it would happen kind of frequently in a way, like you know, every so often. I mean, and even in the living room sometimes. Like there was one time when I was laying on the couch with my son again, and he just kept hiding under the blanket, and I was like, what's wrong, babe, what's wrong? And he was crying, and he just kept saying that the man keeps looking at him, and I was like, oh my God. Like, I would be so freaking scared. My heart would be racing. And you know, and a lot of times my husband would either be sleeping or he would be at work, because he used to like host a lot of like nighttime events and everything. So I would just be there with my two little kids, you know, my son and my little baby girl, and so I was just like, I didn't know what to do, because I mean, when you can't see something but your children are scared of it, like, what do, you know? Like, aside from the fact that they would say that there was this dark man like looking at them and whatever, what got me is that I kind of started to feel like I was being targeted, because whenever I was home by myself, I would see something like in the corner of my eye. I kept seeing it walk by, like if I'm sitting in the living room, you can see the dining room and the kitchen to the left. And I'm telling you, there were so many times where I would like just like shoot my head to the side because I could see somebody standing in the kitchen. And it was always, just like a black shadow or something like that. And if it wasn't just standing there, I would see it walking around. But it was always the corner of my eye. And then as soon as I turned and looked, it would be gone. And so it was just like, it was kind of messing with me or something, because when my husband was home, he never really talked about if he saw anything, whatever. And then I also started to have dreams, although they're more like nightmares. But okay, so I'm going to talk about something that might be a little bit controversial, but some believe that like evil spirits can cause you to have nightmares, and they might not harm you specifically, but they could make you think that harming yourself is a good idea. Okay. And and I've heard of that, like with all the ghost shows that I've watched in my life, there's many times where I've heard situations like that, where someone thought that they should go hurt someone else or hurt themselves because in their dreams that they saw that that's what they were supposed to do or something like that. Okay. It got to a point where I was having these reoccurring dreams of my sister and brother, my older sister and my brother, pretty much convincing me that jumping off a skyscraper would be fun. And and that was really bizarre because, and you might think, well, duh, if it's a dream, obviously when you wake up, you know not to do that. But when I tell you that it was very convincing, like I even recall waking up and thinking, I want to go jump off a building. And that's when I started to really get scared, because I had to literally lay there in bed for like 20 minutes and to remind myself that if I did that, I would die. Because when I woke up, I'm thinking, oh my gosh, it'll be so fun if I just go jump off a building, whatever. But then like I'm laying there and I'm thinking about like what building I would jump off of, and then I started to slowly, like get my head back, and I started to think, wait, this doesn't sound like a good idea anymore. And then I was like, whoa, like once I realized what happened, I was kind of freaked out, and I was like, why? Like how? I don't know how something like that can actually seem legitimate. You know what I mean? Like even that far after waking up, like I laid there for 20 minutes and had to remind myself that it was a bad idea to jump off a building. Another thing that made me think it might have been something like evil or like demonic is the fact that we would hear tapping on the window sometimes in our bedroom. And at one point while we lived there, we had our bed up against the wall underneath the window. And in the middle of the night, I would hear something knocking on the window, but it was always in threes. Like when it would tap or knock on it or whatever, it would be like 1, 2, 3. You know what I mean? Like knock, knock, knock. And one of the common beliefs is that when there's an evil entity or whatever haunting the home, that they use rhythms of 3 as a way to mock the Holy Trinity. So the fact that whenever it would happen, it would be in threes, like that kind of got me thinking that something fishy is going on. You know what I mean? And one of the first times that we actually experienced that, because I heard the knock, right? Like I heard it knock 3 times, whatever. And my husband was sleeping. He's always sleeping. and so I kind of like shook him up and I was like, something's knocking on the window. And he was like, are you sure? Maybe it was just a branch, whatever, something. I was like, there's no dang trees out there. There's no branch knocking on our window. And so like we're talking, and then it happened again while we were talking. And we both just shut up and looked at each other, and he's like, I'm not fucking looking. I said, I'm not either. So yeah, that was another thing that would happen kind of frequently. Now to top it off, like this is one of the last things that happened to me in that place. And if you watched my last 2 speed build videos, I went into the whole thing about me and my husband getting divorced and things like that. But one of the last things I experienced before we got divorced, because that's when I moved out of that place, I'm laying in bed and, my husband and my kids are completely knocked out. Like, I've always been a night owl and I have a really hard time just falling asleep at night. Like, I usually lay in bed for hours before I can fall asleep. And I'm laying there, you know, just looking around, whatever, like kind of closing my eyes every now and then. And then I hear this voice. I'm going to try to explain this in the best way I know how, but I heard this voice, not really in my ear, but in my head. But it was loud in my ear at the same time. And it said in this really deep, like not a growl, but like a really like chesty, deep voice. It said,
"Get out of the house."
And it was so clear and it was so loud and so scary. Oh my God. I've never been so scared in my life. Like, my heart just instantly started racing, and I flipped over and I started shaking my husband, like, just to make sure that it wasn't him and he wasn't just like messing with me or something. Even though I knew it wasn't him, it didn't sound anything like him. But I was just like, babe, like, did you just say something? Did you say something? Like, I was just trying to make sense of it, you know? And you know, and he's like waking up, he's all groggy and everything. And he's like, what were you talking about? And I told him what happened. And he was like, whoa. And I said, yeah. Like, I still have goosebumps just even thinking about it. I can still hear it in my head so clearly, the way it sounded. And the fact that it told me to get out of the house, like, that was just kind of reassurance for me that whatever was there did not like me, and it did not like me being in that house. And I honestly kind of feel like sometimes maybe whatever energy was there kind of helped in the process of me and my husband separating, because when I lived in that house, I was not right in the head. Like, I was always upset. I was always getting mad about little things. Me and my husband used to fight all the time. And, you know, which is part of the reason why we ended up getting divorced. But I mean, I'm telling you, like, that whole thing that some people say about negative energies and it causing conflict in the home and everything, I think that is totally legit, because nothing else seems to make sense, you know what I mean? And I mean, granted, you know, my husband and I, we've grown up a lot and we're a lot better with each other and stuff like that now, but at the same time, I know that there was something bad there. And and you know, we're so stupid because we actually even got a Ouija board to try to kind of contact whatever was there and see what the heck it wanted. But oddly enough, we got absolutely nothing from that. And I mean, I think at one point we kind of got an answer to something, but it didn't really make a whole lot of sense to us. Like, I remember thinking something about it being a little boy, but of course, like, it's somewhat common that like demons or evil spirits might disguise themselves as children to try to seem more friendly or something like that. So, or like to make you want to contact them more, as if you're like helping a child or something like that. So so even which is that, well, like, I don't, you know, and honestly I have no idea how we got that. Like, I don't remember what we asked or like what answer we got, but I just remember thinking, like, after the whole Ouija board thing, I remember thinking that there was a little boy there for some reason. So yeah, that was the condo that we lived in when we were married. And I hope that that story creeped you guys out quite a bit. But I mean, I definitely have more experiences, but I will wait and share those with you with my next speed builds, because I don't want to make this video entirely too long, and I figure it's best to break it up over the month anyway. But yeah, if you like that story, if you like this build, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Remember to subscribe to my channel if you have not yet, and let me know what you think. Let me know if there's any scary stories that you've had similar to what I just explained. But anyways, I appreciate anyone who took the time to watch this and listen to my crazy stories again, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye!